Now let's look at the five BCS bowl games and just see which lines you like and get your takes on the factors in general involved in these games. We'll start with the Rose Bowl, Wisconsin and TCU. TCU, of course, has the nation's top defense, but the question once again is how meaningful that is. How meaningful are their year-long numbers, since they do play such a soft schedule compared to other teams from elite conferences. TCU did, though, have dominant wins over everyone they faced, including Baylor and Utah when Utah was ranked 6th. So there haven't been any obvious chinks yet showing in their armor. Wisconsin, of course, has an explosive offense with a huge and awesome offensive line and a great running game. So what do you guys think about this line? We'll start with Zach.
Yeah, I mean, our numbers say TCU is the play here. So, nothing overwhelming here. This is kind of a bizarre game for us. TCU, we've been upside down with all year, largely because they have big numbers, and when we think they weren't going to cover, they did, and vice versa. So if you're looking for a computer's point of view here, and I'm sure the other guys can give you a little bit more detailed qualitative opinion, that we would tell you go to TCU here.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, because it's a lot of times hard to get a read on just how they'll fare against an elite team from an elite conference when all of their data comes from, like, different kind of games. That doesn't matter, really. Well,
yeah, but TCU, too, is a program that, people like to poke fun at them for being from, the Mountain West, but, the TCU guys and the recruiting that Gary Patterson does is he is competitive with Oklahoma State and Texas Tech and A&M for those blue chip athletes that don't go to Oklahoma or Texas. Mm-hmm. So the quality of athlete at TCU still is pretty premium. And also TCU has never shied away from playing big boys. And they've always fared well. I mean, they handed Oklahoma their last home loss back in 2005. So I wouldn't get too bogged down in TCU playing a light schedule here. Right. I'm not going to play the game, but the computer does say TCU and the points.
Right. John, what are your thoughts on this one?
Like Zach, I don't have a play on this game, but I would have a lean towards the under in this game. TCU is 6-0 under versus excellent offensive teams, and by definition, that's one that's averaging 450 or more yards per game over the last 3 seasons. So I think what that reflects is not TCU's ability to stop a prolific offense, but the fact that the line is already adjusted to such a high level, thinking that TCU won't be able to stop it, that's why the under has been so successful for them. So I like the under a little bit.
Okay, Bob Harvey, what do you make of this game?
I agree with John. I like the under. I think TCU can cover the 2.5, but I think the solid money is to be made with the under. And folks talk about the weakness of TCU's conference versus the strength of the Big Ten. But I don't want to go through it right here because we don't have enough time. Right. But if you look at Wisconsin's schedule and you look at TCU's schedule, there's not a lot of difference in the quality of teams that they play. So for that reason, I'm going to discount that. I'm going to throw it right out the window.
Okay.
TCU is a team that can rise to the occasion in either way, and by that I mean if they get into a shootout and if they got to throw the ball a lot, they've got a guy that can do that in Andy Dalton. They could also run the ball, maybe not run it as well as Wisconsin, but I think the key will be for TCU to get out to a lead and then build it through the air, and then I think Wisconsin's in trouble, even though the Badgers won their last 7 games, a couple of those by blowouts, and I think maybe that's the reason this line is as close as it is. But I like TCU slightly, and I like the under a lot.